utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of el Internet. Folks, we got a lot to talk about. Mucho. There's so much happening in the world, but more importantly, there's so much that we have been snowed about. But without further ado, let's move on to the studio, to the geniuses, where we have El Señor Jacques Van Bebbe and Howard Reynolds. How are my peeps doing this morning?
Have you seen any geniuses around here, Jack?
We're still looking for them.
Oh, yeah.
All we got is us morons here.
Radio by Laurel and Hardy this morning. Tin cans and strings holding up at a minute after 6 o'clock on Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. And good morning to the folks in Minnesota.
Yes, my heroes.
Uh-huh.
My heroes.
I'm telling you, man, it's getting crazy out there. It's getting crazy.
But they're making a stand, and it's working.
Yeah.
They're already folded.
They're pulling those troops out of there. That's what they're saying they're going to do. We'll find out if they really do it or not. Jack, what you got, man? You've moved into the 21st century by reading your phone, so I want to make sure that I note that.
Yeah, I'm a boomer, and I'm forced. I really did not adapt to the new technology, and I'm playing catch up.
Well, I looked at these things in the 90s and said, these things are going to take over. So I better learn to stay ahead of the curve. And so far, I have. What you got, man?
All right. Today's show, in this important hour, the narrative of federal overreach and a nation in crisis coverages in Minneapolis, where the deadly actions of immigration and customs enforcement and Border Patrol agents have ignited political rupture, including Republican gubernatorial candidates' withdrawal amid outrage and accountability demands. Eric Swalwell's searing critique of Republican hypocrisy pushes deeper reflection on how political loyalty often outweighs principled governance. Meanwhile, 31,000 Kaiser nurses have taken a stand striking not just for fair wages, but against a corporate healthcare system that places profit over patient welfare. This show connects these seismic events, federal violence, political fracture, and worker resistance as part of a broader fight for justice and democratic accountability in the United States. And to that I say, ICE's execution of Alex Preddy and murder of Renee Good are meant to instill fear and anxiety in the public consciousness. America, you are living the reality of a corporate fascist takeover of government. Fascism decays into authoritarianism, which is the true function of ICE thugs, lawless actions, which are designed to intimidate the public into submission and crush dissent. I'm very pleased to see the citizens of Minneapolis take their stance against authoritarianism and are the current front line in the battle to maintain democracy in the USA. Bravo, Minnesota, and bravo, citizens of Minneapolis. You are my heroes.
You know what, Jack, you nailed it. Good morning, Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Jacqueline Campisi from Katy, Texas. La Profesora Jacqueline Campisi, thank you for being here. You know I love me my teachers. Got a new thing. It says, Plockton, hello, my English-speaking comrade. Let socialism into your soul. And that looks like you're coming in from Russia, because those characters are Russian characters that I don't know how to read. That stuff is difficult reading. You know, what can I say? We also have Larry Larson, Flea the Vegan, and my brother from another mother, Glenn Ryan, Morney, and Astedion. Welcome aboard, guys. Love having you here. I got a lot to speak about, but it seems like Tag decided to give a call right at the beginning of the show. So let's go ahead and take care of Tag, and then we'll kind of get into the program. Come on in, Tag. How you doing this morning?
Good, Egberto. How about yourself?
I am doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
We're enjoying the Great White North up here in Michigan skiing.
Yeah, you guys are really getting a whole dump of snow, including that lake effect thing that you get every year.
That and the cold. We don't get the cold like we have, but holy mackerel, it's been you just get the better gear out, go out and do it anyway. So I just want to take a minute to talk about political irony. That's something you discuss once in a while, isn't it?
Yeah, we always discuss that.
The political irony that I realized this morning is that during the Biden administration, some of our fellow Republican governors, like Abbott and DeSantis in particular, were in such a hurry to send migrants north on buses and planes to put them in all these blue states, right? And then they turn around and cause political dissent and get Republicans back in power, and then they turn around and allocate tons of money to try to get all these migrants pushed back to Florida and Texas again in these camps. So to me, that's just pure irony, and I think people overlook the fact that has happened like that. What do you think?
Well, it's a shame, right? Because yesterday, even on MS Now, there was they were showing one of the many different detention centers that they had, and the one, of course, that they came was a big one here in Texas, and that is so true. They ship them they use the federal dollars and state dollars to ship them to blue states. In other words, we the taxpayers pay to ship a lot of these guys to the blue states, and then we get ICE. We pay ICE a whole lot of money to go collect them and throw them into detention centers funded by us again. I mean, this I don't know if you remember me telling you guys this several years ago. This has always been a scam. The prison industrial complex, the raw material for the prison industrial complex, the raw material for all these corporations to make money off your tax dollars, the government money, to imprison people, to lock people up, to use the border as a cash cow. That's what it's all about. It has always been about that because businesses, let me tell you, Tag, and you know this as well as I do, businesses love those undocumented workers coming over to the United States. Business love it. Wherever there is a demand, a supply. It's supply side economics is BS. Wherever there's a demand, it is met in a true society, and that is what we have. We had a migration at the border because there's a demand, and for the chaos that we created south of the border. Anything else, Tag?
Yeah, and then add to this, we have the Department of Justice going back to Minnesota and say, well, just turn over your voter rolls and your welfare rolls and your sanctuary city lists, and we'll pull ICE out of there. I mean, what kind of BS is that? This whole thing is just it's just irony that they're actually getting away with it. So go ahead.
It's extortion. Thank you very much. You have a good one. Take care, brother. It's extortion, right? That they said, oh, we'll pull these guys out, but you got to do three things. You got to tell me all the people that are on welfare in your state. You have to go ahead and turn over your voter rolls, and you have to make sure that there's no inkling that Minnesota will be that Minneapolis is going to be is a sanctuary city where we protect the rights of human beings. That is a demand that Kristi Noem gave to them. Of course, right now Kristi Noem, like done all the time, is now the scapegoat of implementing Donald Trump and Stephen Miller's policy. So they're putting her on the sideline for now. Let's see if she lasts, or they may make her the sacrificial lamb. Women, are you hearing this? Which guy was made the sacrificial lamb ever in the Trump administration again? Women always seem to take the brunt. Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. But anyway, you know, I have a lot to talk about, but something triggered me last night as I was writing the show, and I didn't know if I was going to make the show about this subject that I'm going to talk about next, or take on the subjects that uh, that Jack read up in the beginning. And what I decided to do is take a 5 minute break here to tell you a few things, then tie it into what occurred in Minnesota. Right now, we are sitting on top of a 30 something trillion-dollar debt. I want you guys to just hold on to that number. Let's call it about $38 trillion debt when you add all the debt that the United States have written in paper to other people to hold. All right? Call it $38 trillion. We are now paying. Please, and folks, listen to me and please follow me here. We are paying approximately $1 trillion a year to service that debt. In other words, and listen well, every time we pay our taxes every year, now our federal income taxes every year, the first $1 trillion has to go to pay on the bonds that are borrowed because of our debt. Hear that? $1 trillion every year, your money that's collected every year goes to pay these bonds. Now, who owns these bonds? China owns about $759 billion because again they've been selling it off, which is affecting the dollar. Japan owns about $1 trillion of it. The European Union countries own several trillion of it as well. But I mean, that is where the bond is. But here in the United States, a lot of rich people own these bonds. Okay, in other words, they loan the government money so that the government can continue to function. But why do they have to loan us this money? Let me digress a slight period here. Back the last time we had a balanced budget was under Bill Clinton. And we had debt, but we had a surplus. In other words, on that particular time when Clinton raised taxes and pointed out that the Republicans pointed out that the economy would crash because he raised taxes, and a lot of that taxes raised on the rich. And when he did that, he got 0 Republican votes to do that. 0 Republicans vote to do that. But what happened under the Clinton administration? Every time we talk about economic success and how the job creation and the economic activity, everybody likes to call out the name Reagan. And I wrote this in my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Under Reagan, 16 million jobs got created. Sound like a lot. But under Clinton, both of them had 2 terms. Remember that? Both of them had 2 terms. And Clinton had to come, like every Democrat has to come over the last 50, 60 years, and clean up the mess of the previous Republican. Every single time. Obama had to clean up Bush's mess. Clinton had to clean up the Reagan-Bush mess. Biden had to clean up the Trump mess. And God knows what's going to happen now, but we're going to get there. Now, Clinton had a balanced budget. He had a surplus. That surplus could have been used to start dropping the debt. Remember, the debt is the total amount of money you owe. The deficit is how much you're spending over the amount of money you're collecting. So your deficit adds to the debt every year. And if you're not bringing the debt down, that continues to rise every time. The debt continues to rise. Under Clinton again, we had a surplus. We could start to reduce the debt. But then came Bush. And as Republicans always do, fiscal irresponsibility, they cut taxes on the rich as usual, and then ballooned the budget deficit again with illegal wars, with a drug program that was not paid for, a whole lot of stuff. But I want you to understand this. When we provided that debt, in other words, when Bush came in and destroyed what was done under the Clinton administration for a balanced budget, which means we were not adding any more money to the debt. Here comes Bush 1, Bush 2, added trillions of dollars for an Iraq war, adding trillions of dollars for a drug program that wasn't paid for, that should have been paid for, added trillions of dollars in all these other features. Likewise did Trump when he came into office, not taxing the wealthy. Now, here is the sad thing about this. You give these big tax breaks to the wealthy folk, right? And in giving those tax breaks to the wealthy folks, remember now, you create budget deficits. The budget deficits add to the debt. What is the debt? The debt is what you borrowed from others, right? Guess who has the money to loan us after we've given back the money to the wealthy people in the form of tax breaks, tax cuts, and everything else? The wealthy. So we go ahead and give tax breaks to the wealthy. Then the wealthy come to us and say, hey, I will buy the bonds to cover the deficit, to cover the debt. And those bonds keep adding up over and over and over again till it reaches 30-something trillion dollars, which is where we're at right now. So we are paying these guys every year, these wealthy people and foreign countries, we are paying them $1 trillion every year. That is larger than our military budget, which shouldn't be as large as it is anyway, $850 billion or so. It is larger than many of our healthcare programs and everything else. Imagine if we had simply continued the path that the Democrats laid out. And again, I'm not sanctifying Democrats because there are a lot of problems here as well. But imagine if the status quo was the last balanced budget. We would not be paying $1 trillion in interest rates. In fact, what would have happened is we would have continued a declining budget, a declining debt, because as these bonds matured, we would not have had to purchase more bonds. They're matured, they're paid off because we had a surplus to start paying these bonds off. But that's not what we did. Now, telling you all of this, I want to bring that into what we're doing with things like ICE, etc., and spending this money here. We have this huge debt. We are going around the world not making friends, but raising hell. As you saw what Donald Trump did at Davos. Donald Trump went there and tell these European Union folks that, we don't need you guys. You guys are dependent, notwithstanding that these guys are owners of our debt as well. He goes over and to Denmark, and I mean he simply makes a mess out of things. And here comes the Canadian Prime Minister, who is now the moral leader. I am telling you, the moral leader of this capitalist structure now. Not that I am for the capitalist structure, but I'm just saying, in the way things work right now, he has taken over the pseudo moral position of what the United States used to be, used to have, etc. And pointed out that while the rest of the world does not have the military power of the United States, what they have collectively is much more than the United States, who is just 4.5 or so percent of the population. That's all we are, 4% of the population, but have controlled the economic movement of money by us having standardized on the dollar over the last many years, 80 years or so. And in the process, pointing out that because the United States have been now using the dollar not as a neutral arbiter of a financial system, which means there should be no real politics associated with the dollar, since they have used it as a stoggle. In other words, they look at Russia and says, we are going to go ahead and take your money because you have to use SWIFT to get onto it. Sorry, we're going to control it. Any country that they say they want to sanction, because the rest of the world has to use this thing called SWIFT, SWIFT, to move around their monies, to have exchanges. And anybody that goes back against the United States, they simply pay a penalty for not, for SWIFT or whatever, or being able to move their money around. America has used its dollar as a cudgel. But here's the kicker now, baby. We are $38 trillion or so in debt. A lot of people we owe money to. And they're asking themselves, by the way, what is the dollar backed by? The dollar is backed by the faith that we have in the United States. Well, having a country that is unstable, vis-a-vis ICE running around killing people, ICE running around destabilizing different cities, affecting their economy, the different cities' economy, etc. That dollar doesn't seem so strong anymore because the country that is guaranteeing that dollar is in turmoil. It's in turmoil. They're having issues with voters. They're having issues with voter registration. Why would you consider using the dollar, which is not based on anything other than the faith in the country that runs it, a country with a huge military, a country with, wait a minute, it doesn't have a lot of manufacturing anymore. It doesn't have a lot of any of these things anymore because our capitalist system has exported the value that the United States had as a country to the rest of the world. Its manufacturing base is now China, Vietnam, and these other places. Its sources of raw material, we don't, the titanium and all these rare earths that are all over the world, including here in the United States, our minds can't get up to speed to manufacture any of these things. So what makes what gave the faith in the United States dollar was its economic prowess, which it has allowed its own capitalist system to outsource to make a few profits for the few. That's what has happened. And again, for all that I'm saying here, don't take my word for it. So what do? We go ahead and we say, oh my God, we have to start doing what countries without resources, and when I say resources, I mean readily available, exploitable resources. We have to go take it. We got to become imperial again, vis-a-vis what the British did to India, the Caribbean and elsewhere. You don't have the resources at home. You have a strong military. You take it. Imperialism. But the world of 2026 is not the world of 1800s, 1700s anymore. It's not. We have a world of intellect now. The Brazilians are smart, the Russians are smart, the Chinese are smart, the Indians are smart, and I mean not the Indians from the country of India. Uh, these all of these people now have agency in their economic system. They have agency in what they want to do, and they don't necessarily decide to allow 4.5 a country with 4.5% of the population to determine the outcomes of the rest of the 95 point something percent of the world. So they created a lot of external and additional exchanges that are now coming online. Everybody talks about BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, China. That monetary exchange that they have that is up and running. It's running, okay? And but what they don't talk about is SIPS, the Chinese exchange, where people are now buying and selling oil not in petrodollars, but in yuan and other currencies. Bottom line from this discourse that I'm trying to tell you, while we are concerned about ICE and what's happening in Minneapolis and all the shenanigans that Donald Trump is putting out there and the soft invasion of Venezuela. Notice what he did. He took out Maduro for play, but Delcy, who's running Venezuela, continued using the Chavista methodology. He's not particularly messing with her. Read the Venezuelan papers and see what they are doing. Because you know what Venezuela did that America didn't quite realize? They were moving their minerals not through SWIFT, but through crypto. Not through SWIFT, but through alliances with BRICS. Not through SWIFT, but through SIPS with the UN and all these other features putting us on the sidelines. So while we are worried about ridiculous stuff about getting these foreigners out of the United States, which isn't the issue. The issue is really to get these foreigners into concentration camps so that we can make some money for the prison industrial complex. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Because the farmers are making the big farmers are making deals so that ICE will turn the other eye and not mess with when they have to cosechar their fields, when they have to harvest their fields. We are being played. All of us are being played. And MAGA folks, you're the ones that are being screwed the biggest, the worst. You are being screwed the worst because at least when we discuss these issues with progressives, etc., they understand what's going on. But they are dependent on you to be the dummies that keep them in power so that this can continue. The dummies that keep them in power so that this reality can continue. The bottom line is we are heading into dire straits that none of us really understand quite yet. And it starts with as what Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke about, the decoupling from the United States. Right now, all these we are a debtor country to all those folks that we have been maligning. We are a debtor country to all these countries we have been maligning. And how do we get out of this? When you have folks that are not concerned, they don't care about America. They care about the next buck they can make tomorrow. They don't care about what it actually means to the existentialism of America, the existence of America. And and again, one of the reasons that is the case is that This story, the pressure that the dollar is under right now, that China has started selling off in a very orderly form our bonds. And you know how it's not that they're selling off our bonds in as much as they're letting our bonds expired and not reclaiming, repurchasing them at the rate we need. So the bond rates are going, the rates are going up right now because we have to pay more to borrow. And who are we paying again? The wealthy, because they're the ones not paying the taxes that are due them. And we just sit back and accept it. And MAGA, let me tell you, you allowed Trump to screw all of us, the country. Patriotism, you're not patriots. You're not patriots. You're working on the demise of the country. You are working on the demise on the country. Do some study, and those of you that are listening to me that are willing to actually do a little bit of study beyond the pale, you have to dig into your search engines to find the stories around the world that's going to tell you a lot of what I just explained to you. But go scan and find out what is the state of the United States dollar. What is the state of SWIFT, SWIFT? Look up as well BRICS and countries joining BRICS and exchange. Study look up as well how was Venezuela able, even as the United States put maximal pressure on it, at least gave a semblance of an economy as they froze us. Let me tell you, the United States did the same thing in Panama. They held back the dollar on Panama, and we used pieces of paper during the Bush 1 years. We created our own money. The Balboa is the problem in Panama is that the Balboa was based on the dollar. We created all kind of alternative bartering fashions to survive. When you screw a country, they find ways in which to survive. And that's what the rest of the world has been doing. We thought Russia would collapse by now, didn't we? With all the sanctions. But all it did was make them stronger, because the things that we needed to do, we didn't. We thought that all these other countries that we don't like and want them to do things would collapse. We got a lot to learn. And folks, until we as individuals learn it, the mainstream media ain't going to tell you any of this. They're not going to tell you the problems that we are having with the dollar. They're not going to tell you the problems that we're having. CNBC has not mentioned this. CNBC has our premier channel on economics, on finances, has not mentioned the cataclysm that we are about to or potentially going to as they snow us all. Jimmy, line 1. Jimmy, line 1.
Well, I've noticed this week the Academy Award nominations came out, and they had them listed in the newspaper. And I looked at the documentary films, and one of the titles was "Mr. Nobody Against Putin." Mr. Nobody Against Putin. I rented that film for $5.99 from Xfinity. It's 90 minutes long, and it was filmed entirely in Russia by a Russian high school student. He describes himself as a videographer. He just went through the school, and they honored their favorite teacher, etc. But he also shows Putin on TV telling the Russian people that if they join the army, they will be heroes. If they die, they will be heroes throughout eternity for fighting for Russia against Ukraine. And he uses propaganda like that to get the people on his side. This war against Ukraine, where they're killing thousands of people in Ukraine and thousands in the Russian army. It's a fantastic film. I urge everybody to see it. Mr. Nobody Against Putin, a documentary. And I love documentaries because I'm learning something true instead of just made-up stories. So
You're so right, Jimmy, so right. A lot of good documentaries are out. I don't know if you subscribe to Netflix. They're all. I mean, it's sad, but they're all hidden. But since since I'm such a boring person, Netflix has a way of passing me all these documentaries because it knows that's what I like. But you're right about that, sir.
I call up Netflix documentaries, and they give you a big list of them, and you can choose any one of many documentaries. So that's a good way. But I urge everybody to look at this film, Mr. Nobody Against Putin. It shows
Thank
how
you.
Putin used propaganda to get the people on his side, and the entire thing is filmed in Russia with Russian language and English subtitles, so you can tell what they're talking about.
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate
Okay.
you, and I'll go check it out when I'm spinning. That's when I get to watch my documentaries. I get on the spinner and I turn. It helps with the pain. But thank you, Jimmy. Have a great one, my brother.
You too, Alberto. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, brother. All right, let's go to our beautiful Betty. How you doing, Betty?
Oh, I'm fine, mate. Welcome back, y'all three. And also the sun, welcome back. How about that?
Yeah, welcome back, beautiful. Talk to me.
Uh, in the morning, I count heads of the dead. What a way. Trump has put America and us in the slaughterhouse. Line us up. Who's next? We might want to snuggle this winter. Don't. Put your thinking caps on and your walking boots. Texas, we the people, look to Minnesota. Get to the streets. Get and have their backs. We will never have to ask, where was Minnesota? Two good Samaritans gone. One overkill. Look at you, Trump. Take our heart out. Love y'all.
Thank you very much. Love you too, Betty. Love you too. Hey, LBW's in the house. How you doing, LBW? We have las dos profesoras in the house today, both LBW and Jacqueline Campisi. Thank you guys for being here. Are there any other ones of you in here that are teachers? You know, I just love saluting my teachers. Also, Cheryl says, I've told my senator that as senior members of the Democratic caucus, I'm holding them personally responsible for any Democrat that breaks rank on the vote. And I told them I'll give them bonus points if they can convince any Republican to turn. You got that right, young lady. You got that right. Daily action people, call your senators and demand the defund murder, defund DHS, the secret police that is terrorizing all American, murdering our people and protecting the criminals. Actually, that is so true. Let's see what else we got here. Para ver. LBW says Trump is such a raging narcissist that he refuses to learn how actual global economics work. He thinks he knows everything, and all he knows about are basic real estate workings. We are at a mercy of the global financial system and are in deep caca. You're so right about that, LBW. But you know what? Because we don't know that when it happens, it's going to be just a shock, right? Like I said, I want you guys to put this into perspective. We are giving away more than what we spend on the defense budget, which is already overblown every single year to rich people. Every year, the first $1 trillion of a $3 or so trillion budget goes directly to rich people. Our hard-working money go to pay a debt that is there because we gave them tax breaks year after year after year, because we allow them to drill for oil, drill for iron, drill for all these things, resources that all of us should own. And as they drill for that and take the profits out, the monies that would normally come to us as royalties, they get it right back in tax breaks, etc. And they rape this country and then leave it with the debt. And they make more money on that debt because we are paying them $1 trillion to have loaned us 30 something trillion dollars. Every single year we pay them that trillion. Folks, if you don't feel snowed and nobody has told you this stuff, you're hearing it here. This is just and again, like we complain about all of the times, you don't see this on mainstream media, right? And they have to look. MS now has 24 hours a day. Politics done right has 2 hours that it's on air a day. 1 hour on KPFT, 1 hour online on Substack and all the other networks. They have 24-hour staffs and everything. And are they there educating people to let them know what their politicians are doing to them, to let them know what Trump has exacerbated? And here we are as KPFT to stay alive. We are begging people for pittances, and they are fully funded. You have to ask yourself how much responsibility we have to take for ourselves being snowed, right? You have to ask yourself how much we are paying. You're paying your cable bill. You're paying all of this not to be informed. And those of us that are trying to do this, right? I want you to think about that. All right, I see Glenn. Glenn hit me up with something here. Egberto, this is a chance for them to stand up for people. How many reps have gone to Minneapolis? How many candidates have pledged to impeach and convict Trump and Vance? The DNC has a unique opportunity right now, and if they don't pledge to do just as I stated, they won't get the votes in the Senate. You're absolutely right, Glenn. And guess what? I will be on Saturday. I will actually be with Senator Klobuchar from Minnesota at a function here in Houston. So I'll ask her that, okay? I'll ask her that. Let's see what else we got here. Richard C. Brown says we are just getting the kiss here in the USA. It is slow and sloppy. Kinda I see. I hear you, man. I hear you. Ryan also said, don't the Dems participate in the same scam, Brother Egberto? Yes, they do at a lesser amount, but they do. You're absolutely right. That is why we don't only need to get Democrats in power, is not what the case is. The case is to get progressives in power. I'll be honest with you. If there were Republican progressives, as there used to be, they would have my vote. What we need in power, I don't care what party they are, what we need in power are progressives who are willing to move the country forward, who are willing to have a true bifurcated economy where healthcare is a right, where we have basic income, where we have all these things that people say that they want, that no one gives them, that they've earned. It's not only that they want it. Our economy was created by us, not by the billionaires. The billionaires are parasites. Some people get upset when I say that. It behooves me that folks get upset when I speak up against capitalists, when capitalists are simply extractors of the intellect and worth of others. And they get upset at me. I am the one saying you are worthy. I am the one saying you guys are the drivers of the economy. You guys are the drivers of the intellect of this country. All of you that are listening to me right now, whether you're in the car, whether you're on a plane, wherever you're hearing me, whether you're on podcasts or whatever, I am here telling you, it is you who make things happen. And when I call the parasites who take advantage of you a parasite, oh, well, they give me a job. No, they don't. No, they don't. Have pride in what you're worth and what you have, what you created. Anyhow, I have a couple of videos that I want to run down real quick. This is in Minneapolis. This is the stuff that Jack read in the beginning. I need to at least do some of that, because some of the affiliates that carry this stuff are going to want to make sure, hey, what is the program about? Are we just going to be your rant, Egberto? No, here it is.
Republican candidate for Minnesota governor, Chris Maddell, just announced that he is ending his campaign. Here's why.
Today, I announced the end of my campaign. I have two primary reasons for this decision. Number one, I cannot support the National Republicans' stated retribution on the citizens of our state, nor can I count myself a member of a party that would do so. I support the originally stated goals of Immigration's and Customs Enforcement's Operation Metro Surge in locating and deporting the worst of the worst.
I had a problem with mapping it. I hope I wasn't. How long was I gone? 30 seconds or so? Again.
Oh, hours upon hours. You were gone for a long time. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
That's how much we missed you.
I screwed up. Jack, I screwed up, guys. I screwed up. Here we go. I'm going to play it now. I got it. I promise you, I got it this time. Here we go. All right. Come on. Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Maybe it needs a count. I'm trying to help out here.
Yeah, what you said, maybe it needs a what? You're about to say something. Maybe it needs what?
Yeah. Maybe it needs a countdown. You know, what's probably happened is they mimed it. And that's how it worked. Yeah. So take the mime filter off of it.
I need to take the mime filter off of it. And you know what? I'm looking at the stuff right here, and there's another issue. Let me try another one on the hypocrisy and see if that one works, because this should have actually worked this time. But let's see if it works. The hypocrisy of the Trump administration continues. I mean, these people, it almost seems like they think the American people are dumb. Well, we know that their followers, there's a mental problem there, because how do you support a government like the Trump administration who harms you? How do you support them? Well, they cater their message to those people who support them, who don't realize they're being hurt by them. But the rest of us, the majority of us, aren't fooled. That's why we got to make sure, no matter what, to go out and vote. I want you to listen to Scott Bessent here, because he is going to counter what Alex Pretty brought with the policy, the Second Amendment policy. In other words, he is out there going against the Second Amendment from an administration that continuously promote the Second Amendment. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I know this is not your lane, but I got to ask you about what's happened in Minneapolis. As a member of the Trump cabinet, are you concerned to see another American citizen ends up dead, shot by federal law enforcement?
Jonathan, it's a tragedy when anyone dies, but I can tell you the situation on the ground there is being stirred up by Governor Walz. I was out there 2 weeks ago. Governor Walz declined to provide a security detail for me to go into the Minnesota Capitol with the state police. So he is fomenting chaos because there is substantial waste, fraud, and abuse. My job as Treasury Secretary is to investigate that. And I think that this chaos that's going out there, and again, I am sorry that this gentleman is dead, but he did bring a 9mm semi-automatic weapon with 2 cartridges to what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. I think that there are a lot of paid agitators who are ginning things up, and the governor has not done a good job at tamping this down.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, he was an ICU nurse, worked for the Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact, it appears that he was disarmed before he was...
a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
Now tell me, I don't bring a gun to a protest. I bring a placard. I bring a poster. But wait a minute. Isn't the right-wing fight the ability to open carry? Don't we see those guys with their AR-15s going into protests and cops aren't able to stop them. We've had them in Dallas. We'd have them all over this country with their AR-15, and the administration normally comes and protect those right wingers who come out there. Oh, but lest we forget, Rittenhouse, Kyle Rittenhouse, not only went with his AR-15 into a protest, but he actually murdered. Well, they didn't convict him because they said it was self-defense. Of course, not true. He murdered these people, right? For legal reasons, let me correct that. He killed those two protesters, a right-wing hack with an AR-15, with what I call mentally convinced on right-wing issues, goes to a protest and kills people. What did Alex Pretty do in Minnesota, in Minneapolis? Nothing. He had a gun, which he legally had in the back of his pocket. This guy, Rittenhouse, I don't even know if the gun was legal, right? Because he was a minor. I don't know if he could legally have that gun, but he got off. Folks, the hypocrisy supersedes anything, and this administration is designed to talk to dumb people. Are you one of them? Or are you going to continue to be one who supports an administration that is destroying the country, destroying the alliances, destroying your personal economy, and going to the bank with it for whatever duration that it lasts? We got to wake up. Got to wise up. In other words, you got to be woke. You have to get woke. They're trying to make woke a bad word. We have all got to be woke. We have to be awakened. We have to know what's going on. Anyway, folks, we are at 52. I probably can take a couple of calls if you come in real quickly. 713-526-5738. If you call in quickly, I can take a couple of calls. 713-526-5738. I know I was a bit long-winded today, but last night as I was doing a little bit of research for something that I'm writing, I had to tell you that money story today. Give me a call. 713-526-5738. 526-5738. Hit extension number 2, and you'll get directly to me. You've got about a minute or so that I'll take calls. But anyhow, the other video that I was playing that I couldn't get on, even though it seemed like I had it set up correctly, but it didn't play, which means there's something that I'm missing. But anyhow, that was a congressman, or rather, a Republican running for Minnesota governor. He went ahead and said he's not going to run. He withdrew himself from running, and he excoriated the Republican Party. I repeat, he excoriated the Republican Party for what they're doing in Minnesota. And this guy isn't a moderate Republican. This is a guy that wanted to protect, was going to come in defense of the guy, the ICE officers that murdered, what's her name, Renee Good. So this wasn't some nice guy, but he is so fed up with what Republicans are doing now that he started to come around. When you see the governor of Texas, the one who sent many of our undocumented workers to blue cities, come out against the president and says they need to change tactics, when he himself is a crook in that he got people on our border killed by putting those cotton things in the Rio Grande that killed folks trying to get over here. Killed folks. Remember, these are Christians. These are people that believe in the sanctity of life. These are people that claim they follow Jesus Christ. They need to listen to Tallarico, because Tallarico pointed out that Jesus Christ demands that you love the foreigner. Jesus Christ demands that you clothe the unclothed. Jesus Christ demands And I'm not a Christian. I'm a humanist. I left Christianity when I realized that in the parlance of the Bible, Jesus never spoke out against slavery. But that's fine. I love my Christians, right? My wife is a deacon at a church, and my daughter is a faithful Christian. Okay? But what I'm saying, these people, well, they probably need to go to the Luke. The Luke is a very progressive church here in Humboldt, Texas. You need to go to the Luke. Hey, Rev, I just gave your church a clip here because of the good work that you do, my brother. All right, folks, let me throw it to the studio. Studio.
Okay, yeah. Here we are.
I caught you sleeping.
No, I went to pull the microphone to me, and it came off the stand, so I'm sitting here holding it. Jack, what you got, man?
Well, hold on. It just disappeared, or my phone shifted. All right, I'm going to be at the Ice Out protest this weekend, the 31st at LaPorte at 5 Points Plaza, 105 San Jacinto Street, LaPorte, Texas, for the Ice Out rally Saturday, January the 31st. That's where I'll be.
Well, I tell you,
from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the length of the rally.
That's right. I encourage everybody to go to that one. Now let me see if I can fix this microphone.
All right, folks. So look, we got to start getting out of here. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank you for your ears, your eyes, and I want to thank you for sharing all that we talk about, both in the videos and the podcast. Please remember, go share this stuff. Go share this stuff and support independent media, folks. Support independent media. Look, folks, got to get out of here. You can reach me at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Rest of the show at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute.